Before you can work with the NetBeans IDE, you'll need to install both the Java Development Kit and the IDE itself. Now, if you don't already have Java installed, the easiest way to install both is to get the bundled download, which you can obtain from the oracle.com download site that you see here on the screen. And all you need to do is click the NetBeans button at the top of the page here, which is going to give you a bundle of the latest version of Java SE8's JDK, JDK 8 U5, which is the update number 5, and the NetBeans 8 IDE. So if you click that button, you'll be taken to this page where you'll have to accept the license agreement before you'll be able to download and install the software. And here you can see that there are bundled downloads for Linux, for both 32-bit and 64-bit Linux, for the Mac OS X platform, and also for Windows 32-bit and 64-bit versions. Please be sure to read the installation instructions in detail for your platform to make sure that you install the software correctly. Now, once you download and install the software, you'll be able to launch the IDE, which on Windows you'll find under All Programs and NetBeans, and you'll see a link here for NetBeans IDE 8. On Mac OS, you'll have this in your Applications folder in a NetBeans subfolder, and on Linux, depending on which platform you're on, you'll have a similar icon for launching the NetBeans IDE on your Linux platform. Now, you can also get NetBeans from the netbeans.org/downloads page, and on this page you'll see that there's actually several versions of the IDE you can download. This is the way you would install NetBeans if you already have the JDK installed on your system, specifically JDK 7 or 8 in particular. And you'll notice here that you can select which platform you want to download for, and you've got Windows, Linux, and Mac OS X. You can also download a zip file that contains a platform-independent version of the NetBeans platform. And separately, you have these multiple different ways to download it. Now, the default download from the Oracle site is just the basic Java SE download that's bundled with the JDK. In some of our later chapters and live lessons videos, we demonstrate some Java Enterprise Edition features, and we use the NetBeans IDE when doing that. For those chapters and lessons, you would use the Java EE version of the IDE. The IDE also can support C and C++ development, as well as HTML5 and PHP development. So if you have any need for any of these other items, you can download the appropriate version and install it. And once again, you'll want to make sure you follow the installation instructions for your platform. Now, once you have the IDE installed and you launch it, initially the NetBeans window will appear something like this on your screen. Sometimes it will show just the Start Page tab, and sometimes it will also show these other tabs at the left side of the IDE. On an IDE that shows just the Start Page tab, when you close that tab, then this project's window will be displayed on your screen. Now, the Start Page is going to give you access not only to any recent projects that you've worked on, but there's also a Learn and Discover tab where you can learn about the NetBeans IDE with some tutorials to help you get into it, and also separately a What's New tab that tells you about the new features of the IDE as well. Now, one of the things you'll want to do if you're following along with our examples is configure the IDE to display line numbers, as well as to configure the tab settings to match our tab settings in our source code. We use 3 space indents for our tabs, so we'll show you how to configure that now. For line numbers, it's very simple. You simply go to the View menu and make sure that Show Line Numbers is checked, which it is by default in the IDE at the moment. And then separately for tabs, you access that for the settings for the IDE. And to do that on Windows and Linux, you'll go through the Tools menu and select Options. And on Mac OS X, you'll go to the NetBeans menu and select Preferences. And when you do, you'll be presented with a dialog that looks like this one, the Options dialog. And there are lots of different features that you can configure, but for tabs, we would do that under the Editor tab, and then within that under the Formatting tab. And you can see by default that there are 4 spaces per indent, and that the tab size is 8. We use 3-space indents and 3-space tabs in our source code. So if you want to match up with what we do, you would put 3 in each of these fields, then click OK or Apply to apply those settings. OK will apply and dismiss the dialog. Apply by itself will simply change the settings. And for this, we did it for all programming languages. So no matter what kind of programming language source code you're looking at in the IDE, as you write source code now, it would use this number of spaces per indent and this number of spaces per tab that you type in the IDE.